Hey everybody, it's Rob from Jeep Comic Collector. This is episode number 97, and I need your help. I've been working hard getting the comic book room ready. This is you got it off. Yeah, all those boxes. I got all those boxes that weren't alphabetized in integrated into the alphabetized boxes. So now those are all done. I've got 3 boxes we haven't gone through yet, and I've got long boxes that I'm still sorting through to get the dates on them. None of the alphabetized ones have been dated yet, but in the process of doing that, I found a lot more doubles than I thought I had. This is. Let me get it here. Yeah, see that these guys here. Yeah, those. All the when I decided I needed to do a giveaway, I had this box of comics down here on the bottom. Now I've got all of these as well, and there's just too many. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with them. You need to help me. So watch the 100th episode. It's 3 episodes away. This is 97. We're going to go over a short box the next 2 episodes, and then it's episode 100. I need you to watch. I need you to post which comics you want, because I'm going to give them to you. So, so what we're going to do on the 100th episode is I'm going to sit here and I'm going to show you comic books, and it's not going to be live. It's just a recorded video, and you're going to post a comment listing what you want. And I can't guarantee that you're going to get what you want, because there's going to be people that want the same ones. But it makes sense to me, since I have so many, to try and get you what you want instead of just sending you a random comic. You know how long it's going to take me to get rid of all these if I only send you one comic at a time? So tune in for the 100th episode for all the details. But in the meantime, if you haven't sent me your address, send me your address so I can send you free comic books. You get to pick which ones you want. It's going to be so cool. All right, so today we are going to open this box right here. I forgot to turn Yoda on. I'm sorry. Should I turn Yoda on? I should turn Yoda on. Here we go. Yoda. Where'd your button go, buddy? There he is. Yeah, you do that, Yoda. I should have had you open this. Be like Higgy Pop with his sword. All right. So this is the box I showed you yesterday that I got all excited about. So in this box is the very first DC comic book ever made. New Fun #1. There it is. And yeah, this is the hardcover facsimile that they made a few years ago. It's not the actual one from the 1935, but this is so cool. This is so historic and so cool. I wanted to get this when it came out, and it was just before COVID hit when it came out. So they've been hard to find, and I forgot all about it. I did read it digitally. I found it online where I could read it digitally at one point. So I've read it before, but I've always wanted it. And in one of the Facebook groups that I belong to for Golden Age Comics, some guy posted that he found this at Ollie's for $5, $5 for this hardcover book that reprints in the original size. Look how big this sucker is. Okay, this is a regular size comic of today. This is how big this is. And this is the actual size it was printed in 1935. This is how big it was, because comics were just first getting started. And if you're familiar with comic newspaper sections back then, this is how big they were. This is how big they were huge. The comics page was huge, and it's so this is printed the exact same size. It's got some great articles in it, as well as the everything that was in it. And it's before Superman, so there's no superheroes. There's nothing like that really. It's just kind of strips that were on the order of the Sunday funnies, really, that you'd see in the newspapers, except these were all new. This is basically the first newsstand comic that had all new material, except for, like, I think back in 1933, Dell did something called the Funnies or something like that. That was all new. But that was actually newsprint, tabloid stuff. It wasn't like a modern day comic book. Yoda just fell. 2 rambunctious, I guess. He's excited too. And so, yeah, this is famous first edition, limited collector's edition, blah 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 blah. And this is just a dust cover. This is the actual hardcover here. So it reprints the front cover. This is what the front cover looked like back then. They actually put a comic strip on the cover instead of creating a cover. And it's got a neat spine. It's got the New Fun #1 on the spine. On the back, they printed the back cover, which was a Tom Mix ad for Ralston. Ralston, what cereal? I guess. Yes, my Padawan. A question you may ask. I probably should read it. I don't know, but you could get this free dandy zip gun. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so it's very cool. It's very cool. Look how big this sucker is. I was surprised at how big it was. I didn't know it was going to be this big. It's actually a little bit hard to read because it's so big in the hardcover. In the soft cover, it would bend a little bit and stuff, so you could read it easier. But in the hardcover, it's like you almost need binoculars to see the front of the page. This thing is so big. So you got an introductory thing by Jerry Bales that he wrote in 2000 before he passed away. And it wasn't intended for this printing. It was intended, they were going to print this earlier, a few years earlier, and decided that they didn't have the rights they didn't know if they had the rights to all of the material. And then, eventually they figured out that they thought they did, so they went ahead and printed it. So, and then it's got a second introduction by Roy Thomas, and they're very informative, very historical articles. Tells you a little bit about the history of comics, not just this, but the beginning of DC Comics. And then it gets into the comic book. So this is the cover. It's got Jack Woods, which was a Western. And on the inside, it's got it says New Fun, hello everybody. It's like a little editorial page. It's got the contents and the publisher information. It's got a subscription blank or something down here, or it's a coupon asking you to tell you which your favorite features were in the book. And this is like the little mascot guy that was created by what's his name? Lloyd Jacquet. Lloyd Jacquet. No, Dick Loderer. Dick Loderer. I'm sorry. Dick Loderer was the art director. And so first off, we got Sandra of the Secret Service. Starts off with a female strip. That's kind of odd for back then. But it's cool. It's one of the best things in the book. And then it's got a strip called Jigger and Ginger, which is basically kind of an Archie type, a teenager. But this was before Archie was even invented. This is 1935. So it was a takeoff really on the teen comic strips that were appearing in the newspaper, like Herald Teen and stuff like that. I guess. Then you got Barry O'Neill which is kind of a detective strip. Oh, and then along the bottom here, I hope you can see this and it's focusing. There's Oswald the Lucky Rabbit strips. This is actually Oswald's first appearance in comic books. It was in the first DC comic. How weird is that? Yeah, it wasn't a Disney property. Disney had already lost the rights. Universal owned him, and somehow, these guys got the rights to do some Oswald strips in their first comic book. And then it's got a strip called The Magic Crystal of History, which is a kind of a time travel strip, sort of. It didn't got great art, but the story kind of changes over time as it goes into the other issues. In this one, they like gaze into a crystal ball and they're transported into ancient Egypt. But look at the art. Look at the ink work on this art. This is just amazing work for the very first comic book with new material. And it was printed in black and white. It wasn't color. It wasn't black and white, just like this. And these pages are wonderful. They're almost it's a thick it's kind of got a feel sort of like newsprint, but it's almost like a parchment paper. And yeah, I don't know enough about paper to know what kind it is, but it's wonderful paper. I think the original price on this was only like $20. I got it off eBay because I couldn't find it at Ollie's. I looked, and as always, my Ollie's doesn't have anything I'm looking for that I see other people getting. And so I ended up ordering it on eBay. I found a seller in California that had it for like $6-7. I ended up paying like $12.95 for it or something with shipping, which I now understand because it was so big. It came in a big box, right? So yeah, the original price was $20, which even that's not that bad for a hardcover book. I mean, it's not a real thick hardcover book, but still, it's so huge. I don't know how I'm going to store this thing. It won't sit on my bookshelf. It won't go in a comic box, but it's cool. I like it. So we got Wing Brady, Soldier of Fortune, which is it's pretty self-explanatory. I think he's in the Foreign Legion. Adaptation of Ivanhoe, and something called Judge Perkins, which was a humor strip. And like a lot of the comics from the 1930s, the humor is kind of crude. It's people falling down, people, bad things happening, people that you're supposed to laugh at. So it is what it is. It's a very much a period of its time. And then next page we have Don Drake on the planet Zaro, which is basically a takeoff of Flash Gordon. It's similar to Flash Gordon strip. But look at the art. Look at the art. Look at the art. It's so beautiful. I love black and white. It just shows off the art so much better than color does when the art's good. Loco Luke is basically a humorous Western. And the Oswald ships have stopped. They only went for like 5 pages along the bottom for some reason. And then there's actually a 2-page text story called Spook Ranch, which again, just fantastic art. The illustrations are great for the first comic book that had new material in 1935. Scrub Hardy is another humor strip, just kind of typical stuff. Jack Andrews, All-American Boy. He's I think he's playing football or something. Yeah, he's like a college athlete type. And then there's some text articles in here too. There's a I don't know what was this continued from the other page. I don't know. There's a little thing up here about some kind of Martian thing. I don't know what exactly it is, but you have the very first Charles Atlas ad in comics. with the very original 98-pound Winkling on the beach ad. The very first version of that ad that's ran for years and years and years. This was the very first one. And then there was a sports column, and they have a radio column, because radio was really big back in the 30s and 40s. You know, that's what people did for entertainment. They didn't have television yet. So you got a radio thing here about let's see if it's talking about anybody I actually know of. Oh, it's actually talking about Buck Rogers. There must have been a Buck Rogers radio show. So, yep, on NBC. And then in the movies, you got, let's see, there's a early Gary Cooper movie up here. I mean, obviously you can't see Gary Cooper in that picture, but he's there. And then this is Tim McCoy, and this is Johnny Mac Brown. They're old Western stars. If you watch really old Westerns, they're from those. And they even call it the talkies. That's how old this is. They were calling movies the talkies. And then there's a aviation column and a model aircraft column where you can. It actually gives you designs to build your own like model airplanes out of like balsa wood or cardboard or something. And then there's also ship designs to do the same thing. So it's very cool. It wasn't just comics. And then you got Captain Eric, which is a like a seagoing story, and a Buckskin Jim is another Western. And then you have a popular science column that talks about new scientific theories and discoveries and stuff like that. And stamps and coins column. So this is probably the very first stamp column in comic books, because this was the first comic book with new material in it. So unless they had like ads in like Famous Funnies where it was all reprints, which they may have, I don't know. But this very easily could have been the first one. A young homemakers column for young women who were getting ready to keep house. After a strip called After School. It's just a kid's strip. And then we got Caveman Capers, which was just a strip about little cave kids, basically. There's a little boy who's discovers fire and scares the heck out of all the other cave people. And then this is called Fun Films, and this used to be popular in the newspapers back in probably the 30s. What you would do is you'd cut out this panel and cut these slits out here in the middle. Try to focus better on that. And then you would cut out these strips, and so you could run them through the viewer. That square would be the viewer, and you could run the strips through and kind of read the comic strip one panel at a time, like you're watching a movie. Yeah, that's Yoda's got a question about that. And so Bubby and Beevil is the next strip, which must be by the same guy that did that mascot at the front, because these look pretty much like the same thing. But they're basically gnomes, sort of characters. And one's good and one's not, and it's it goes on from there. And then you have Pelion and Osa, is how I pronounce it. I don't know if that's correct or not. And so these would basically be the very first DC Comics funny animals. And of course, it wasn't called DC Comics yet, but if you were going to put all the DC funny animals in the same universe, then these would be the very first look at Earth's, what was it, C, that had the funny animals on it, I think. Can't remember. Might have been. And then there's a little strip down here of the one guy from this strip reading dismaying, basically. And then the last strip is 2023 Super Police. So you got another kind of science fiction strip. Great art, but it's funny because this is the year 2023, and so that was the far future back then. And then the inside back cover, they had an ad for airplane supplies. So I think it was probably the little airplanes that they used to have tied to a string where they'd fly them around and stuff, if you've ever seen that. And then they have the Tom Mix ad, just like it's on the back cover, reprinted, because they do reprint the whole thing inside the book. And then at the end, there's a article by I think it's the granddaughter of Major Malcolm Wheeler Nicholson, who was the founder of the company that became DC Comics. I think I want to say granddaughter. I'm not sure if it's granddaughter or daughter. I'm thinking it would be granddaughter. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And there's some pictures of him and a little history of his life and stuff. And then this is cool, too. They have little paragraphs about every creator that worked on the book, and tells what when they lived, when they died, and what they went on to do, and so on and so forth in the comics industry and stuff like that. So that actually takes up 2 pages, and then there's the last article is about the tabloid size books that DC did, and that's where they tell you that it actually was this big. This is how big the comic was. And then in the very last page, they have a reprint of the front cover, but it's like the original beat up copy that they worked from to create this amazing book. So this is very cool. If you're interested at all in comics history, this is something you should be on the lookout for, especially now that it's available at discount places. So keep an eye out for it. Ollie's, apparently some of the Ollies have them. Mine didn't, but somebody else found it for $5 at Ollie's. So I'm so thrilled to have this. It's just really cool. I really, really like it. And let me put the dust jacket back on there. And so that'll do it for today. That was my episode for today. I hope you liked it. It's a little bit different than what we usually do. And I have to stick it right here because that's the only place I know to fit it. Wants to take over on the computer. All right, never mind. So yeah, send me your address and get free books. See you tomorrow. Why do you have to